I don't know that we can expect manna from heaven today. Good morning, everyone. This is Tony from her Homestead Skills, and today, a lot of things going on in the world right now. We have a lot of saber rattling and a lot of fear mongering going on. And to me, it just seems like a couple of bullies in a schoolyard trying to push each other around. Sorry, that is my take. I am beyond tired of promoting fear in order to control people. I am sick and tired of that concept. I am under the impression that many of you are as well. We have just gone through 2 years of the most fear-inducing situation, and it was constantly harped upon and made worse by those that stood to benefit from it. So, two of the major commodities that the world needs, besides love and affection, are food and fuel. Everyone needs a roof over their head, they need something to eat, and they need fuel for energy. Fuel to cook your food, fuel to warm your homes, fuel to drive your vehicles around. Energy. We need energy, we need food, and those two are pretty much synonymous. They're one and the same thing. Energy for our bodies, energy for our lives. So, and those are the items that are under severe attack by everyone. Okay, so during the last couple of years, everyone in the food industry was supported, whether they were food plants or people who moved food around or people who sold food. Whatever the case, that was considered an essential service. Of course it is. Everyone needs to eat. And it was controlled, and it stopped the world from spiraling down into chaos because they did control it. Now, I think that in the last 2 years that there are both organizations and many that stood to gain by controlling the population and spreading fear. And it seems to be that in my lifetime, I have seen that as an ongoing measure to control the population, whether it is a war, and we all have to get behind that war because, bad things are going to happen if we don't, whether it is a medical issue, and we all have to get behind it and support it 100%, because if we don't, it's going to decimate society. Okay? Now it's a food and fuel crisis, and it's become pretty obvious that this is a manufactured crisis, and I think more and more people around the world are rejecting that. More countries are telling their populations to stock up. So once again, is that another means of inducing fear that there are going to be shortages? Oh yes, and there are shortages, and they are manufactured shortages. No longer do we have people in the food industry supported the way we have the last 2 years, as a matter of fact. They are being decimated as well. Why they are no longer considered essential is beyond me. There are those that fear that the powers that be are trying to kill us all off, and whether by intent or by ignorance, that could be a possibility. But I, for one, refuse to submit to the fear. I'm sick and tired of it, to tell you the truth. Obey or else. Obey or we are going to cut off your food supply. Obey or we won't let you travel. Obey or we're going to seize your bank account. What is this need for obedience and why? Yes, the world is changing. There's no doubt about that. Everything that affects one country affects us all, and we're understanding that. And perhaps there will be a one world government, and okay, if there is, if that is a given, what powers will this one world government have, and how limited in scope can it be made? I think that the U.S. presents a very interesting example in that you have a federal government that has certain powers, but they're also restricted. And then you have each of the states that have their own powers. So you have issues at the local level that are dealt with at the local level, and issues at the state level that are dealt with at the state level, and issues at the country level that are dealt with federally. Now, each one has their own prerogative, their own rules. And the nice thing about the U.S. is if you don't like the way one state handles something, you could move to another one. We don't have quite that same situation in Canada. We do have different provinces that have different ideologies. Quebec specifically, the West another one. And now, I do believe in standing up for your rights. I do believe we have rights. Okay, so in Canada, we have had, well, let's just say around the world, we have had farmers up in arms about the issues that have been imposed upon them lately, whereas the last 2 years, the food industry was completely supported for some reason. There is a complete turnabout this year, and well, perhaps it's been going on longer than that, but there is a war against farmers. For the life of me, all I can say is that's cutting your own throat. So farmers are fighting back, and people who understand that we all need to eat are supporting their farmers, smart people. And those of us with the ability to understand what's going on are stocking up food supplies, and to the best of our ability. Some of us have been doing that all our lives, and some of us are just beginning to do it, seeing the writing on the wall. Okay, I could see that 2023 is going to be a rough year for the food industry based on what's been happening. We understand that, oh yes, there's a lot of food on the market. There's no shortage right now. And that is because a lot of the stock that was available has gone to market, and it is last year's or this year's product that we're, but next year will be a different story. If everyone has downsized their herds, what are they going to use to rebuild? So anyway, we do know that there are going to be issues with food next year. We also know that there has been a push to have people accept crickets as food. And as far as I'm concerned, you want to eat crickets, go ahead. If you don't, there's no reason why you should be forced to. So I'm totally against the idea of sneaking it in foods. I did see something which I thought was rather disturbing in one country. They handed school children bags of chips, potato chips. And, kids willingly will accept pretty much any snack that they're offered most of the time, and they're munching away on these chips. And then they're asked if they like this new brand of chips. And the kids said, oh yeah, they're great. They're great. Well, then the children were told that they were made with crickets. And children being children, the thought didn't disturb them as much because they'd already tasted the food, and it tasted just fine to them, and that's all it would take. And who knows, they could make any food taste like anything these days, so I'm not sold. Obviously, they can make mock meat. They can make food taste like meat that isn't meat. Come on, folks. You can make crickets taste like anything you want, apparently. Okay, so I think the idea there was so that the kids would go home and tell their parents, oh, wow, we had these branded chips, and they're made from crickets, and they're really, really good. So, sell the children in order to sell the parents. Hopefully the parents have their own ideas. If they think it's fine, more power to them. If they do not, they should resist. I certainly didn't let my children eat everything that they wanted, and they certainly didn't eat everything that I wanted them to eat. I know we had a struggle with turnip with my son. He'll eat it now as an adult, but as a child he couldn't stand it. And quite honestly, that does happen. I had an issue eating peas when I was a kid. Just made me gag. Didn't like the texture, didn't like the taste, but as an adult, I love peas. So tastes do develop, and yes, what's good for you isn't necessarily what you want to eat. And all of us want sugar and salt. So you put enough salt on chips, you put enough sugar in chocolate and in cookies, of course we're going to eat it. Okay, well, there is slightly good news on the front with the farmers. We know that they have been protesting in Europe, and unfortunately in Europe they have been dealt a heavy hand and a heavy blow here in Canada. Even though the government refuses to acknowledge that nitrous oxide emissions can be reduced drastically without reducing fertilizer use and thus crop production, they are pushing ahead with their agenda, and farmers have protested, and rightly so. There is currently a reject the starvation policy, sign a petition, headed up by 3 provinces. So started with Alberta, then Saskatchewan and Manitoba have also joined. So now the farmers do have support from their provincial governments to reject the federal government's policy to reduce fertilizer use. And they're doing, they still want Canada to reduce at a time when there's huge food shortages across the world, across the globe, and no knowing what the situation is going, how it's going to unfold. So I think that there has to be an understanding that less fertilizer means less food. There has to be, okay? Perhaps everyone should come to the table and come up with a solution, but not have something forced on somebody that is going to limit A, food production, B, the ability for farmers to do their job, make a living, make a profit. If they're not going to make a profit, why are they doing it? And if they don't feed us, who will? I don't know that we can expect manna from heaven today. At least not in the physical sense. Okay? It'll go someplace. And with the population hopefully supporting farmers, we'll get someplace. So it isn't always bad news. We can take a stand, and it doesn't have to be a violent one. Sometimes just resisting, and not violently, just calmly resisting. Calls to panic, calls to fear, calls to create issues. Anyway, let's all stand behind our farmers and see what we can accomplish this year. Perhaps we can turn the tide, and maybe 2023 will be the last year that our farmers and food supplies are attacked. Let's hope so. Anyway, this is Tony from Her Homestead Skills. Hope you enjoyed this little video, and we will catch you on the next one. Bye for now.